Hello, my name is Brianna Grounds and I'm a psychology student at the University of New England. I'm going to explain to you how to overcome your fear of driving with some simple and easy behaviour modification procedures. First of all, you need to work out what your problem behaviour is. With a fear of driving, your problem behaviour is likely going to be avoiding driving. Avoiding driving is going to be a problem because it reinforces itself. Avoiding driving reinforces itself by you escaping the situation, and by escaping the situation, you escape all that horrible anxiety and fear. Now, again, it's important to make sure you have a support network around you. Because you're overcoming a fear, you're going to need support. And because it's something like driving, you're probably going to need an experienced driver around you. So you're going to need to find somebody who you find comforting and supporting, who's calm and can help you with driving. You're probably going to need to find people who make sure you are going to stick to your guns and actually progress through this hierarchy. And you're going to find people who will help you reinforce your good behaviors and who will possibly train you in some way, because you're going to need assistance driving well and you're going to need someone to direct you as you're driving. So find your support network first of all. Now you know what your problem behavior is and you have your network of supportive people around you, you're ready to begin. To begin, we're going to need some kind of scale, of course, and the scale we're going to use is subjective units of discomfort, or SUDS. This is going to give us an indication of what you find the most stressful about driving and what you find the least stressful, so that we have some idea of where to progress from when creating our fear hierarchy, which is the next stage of the process. So you need to think about driving. You need to think about what you find very scary, and you need to think about how that could progress in a series of steps. So the SUDS scale works by going from 0 to 100. 0 being the least amount of discomfort, so absolutely no discomfort or stress. You're completely comfortable. And then it progresses in increments until it gets to 100, which is absolutely the most amount of stress or discomfort you could possibly feel. And it's affecting your ability to perform, or in this case, your ability to drive. With our SUDS scale, we're going to create a fear hierarchy. That sounds scary, but really it's just your series of steps to success. So the fear hierarchy is going to start with something you find easy, but something that still causes you some level of anxiety. So we're going to start with a SUDS unit of 10. So a SUDS unit of 10 with a fear of driving is most likely going to be probably getting in the car and turning the car on. Or maybe getting in the car, turning it on and driving down your driveway a little way. So that's going to be our 10, and it's going to be our starting point. It's incredibly important to, along the way, reinforce each stage of good behavior. So you've done this good behavior, you've completed your first stage of the hierarchy, and it's incredibly important now to go do something nice for yourself, to give yourself a pat on the back and to continue your process. So you're not going to want to drive again if you don't reinforce it, because avoiding driving has a better reinforcer. Avoiding the anxiety. You need to reinforce yourself for putting yourself in that horrible position of feeling the anxiety. Maybe that would be something small like a cup of coffee with friends or a nice piece of chocolate. Doesn't matter what you do as long as you're reinforcing the good behavior. It's a good idea to write your hierarchy down on a calendar. So you create each step and you create a date that you want to do that step, and have a support person come with you on those days. So you've worked it all out in advance so that it doesn't keep getting pushed back and pushed back, because you want to progress through the stages relatively quickly. You don't want to have huge gaps of a month in between, or you might be right back to square one. So it's a good idea to set out your calendar and plan it with friends and family if you need them to be with you. If not, plan it with just yourself to make sure you have time. So you're going to have your steps progressing in small increments, so in SUDS of 10, so 10 being the easiest, and you're going to reward yourself after each stage to reinforce the good behavior, and you're going to have it all set out in a plan so you know when and where it's happening, and so that it happens relatively quickly without huge gaps in between. you've created your fear hierarchy ahead of time and you're only predicting how it's going to go and what's going to be the most anxiety provoking situations, you may need to edit as you go. But while editing, keep in mind that you need to be progressing, and you need to be progressing in relatively the same consistent increments, and this is why we use the SUD scale. So you might need to edit, you might find parking or roundabouts a lot harder than you thought it was going to be, and you need to cut it back to doing that with a friend very slowly or only one at a time. But as long as you keep it with relatively the same amount of steps and the steps about the same distance apart in fear, then it will be all good.